Welcome back, Cyber Explorers. It's Alfie, and in this video we'll explore together with this step-by-step guide, how to install Arch Linux 2025, the easy way, separate disk, standalone. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First, let's clarify the title. Separate disk means that we will install Arch Linux on its own disk. So get your disk ready and ensure you don't need anything on that disk because it will be formatted. Standalone means there will be no other operating system connected to the PC during the Arch Linux installation process. So if you want to install Arch Linux this way, and you have a Windows installation on the PC already, disconnect the Windows disk. After you finish the Arch Linux installation, reconnect the Windows disk, and you will be able to switch between the systems, Windows and Arch, from the boot menu, or from the BIOS or UEFI or other ways. This way we ensure that the grub bootloader will be installed on the Arch disk and not on the Windows disk. Second, you will need a Arch Linux installation media, such as a Arch Linux bootable USB drive. Our video on how to create a Arch Linux bootable USB drive with Rufus might help you. The link is in the description below. Third, you will need to insert the USB drive into the computer, then restart the PC and access the BIOS or UEFI. Adjust the boot priority to boot from the USB drive, or you can enter the boot menu and boot from the USB drive directly. Our video on how to boot from a USB drive might help you. The link is in the description below. Fourth, since Arch Linux does not support secure boot out of the box, make sure to disable it from the BIOS or UEFI menu. Our video on how to enable or disable secure boot in BIOS might help you. The link is in the description below. When you first boot from the Arch Linux installation media, choose Arch Linux Install Medium and hit Enter. Now type the following command to increase the console font size. If your computer is connected to the internet via an Ethernet cable, use the following command to check the connection. If your computer has built-in Wi-Fi, you can use the IWCTL tool to connect to the internet. To use IWCTL, simply type IWCTL in the terminal to enter the IWD shell. Then type the following command to see a list of network interfaces. Look for your network interface, for example, WLAN 0, and ensure it's powered on. If it's off, use the following command to turn it on. If the device is still not powered on, type the following command. Next, run the following command to see the list of available Wi-Fi networks. To connect to a wireless network, use the following command. Replace Wi-Fi name with the name of your Wi-Fi network. Press the Enter key and enter the Wi-Fi password. After entering the password, wait for a few seconds and press the Enter key again to connect to the internet. You may not see any output, but if the connection is successful, you can simply exit the IWD shell. Now run the previous ping command to ensure you are receiving packets. That's it. You have successfully connected to the internet and are ready to continue with the Arch Linux installation process. Then synchronize the system packages and upgrade them to the latest version with the following command. Next, update the package signing keys to verify the authenticity of downloaded packages. If the Arch install package is not already installed, run the following command to install it. Note: the Arch install script is included by default in the Arch Linux ISO. Finally, run the following command to start the Arch installation script. At the Arch installation menu, use the arrow keys to navigate through the options, the space key to select items, and the Enter key to confirm. Now select the installation language and set it to your preference. Then do the same for the locales and mirrors options. Next, select Disk Configuration and press Enter. Then choose Partitioning and press Enter to begin partitioning the disk. Under the disk configuration type, select Use a best effort default partition layout and press Enter. Then use the space key to select the disk and press Enter. Next, choose the file system, for example, ext4bt or fs, and press Enter. You'll then be prompted to choose whether you want a separate home partition. Select yes or no based on your preference. Arch will automatically partition the disk accordingly. Alternatively, you can choose manual partitioning and press enter. Then, select the disk and press enter to manually partition it. If you are using a previously utilized disk, you might see existing partitions. Select each partition one by one and choose delete partition to remove them. For non-GPT disks, the simplest partitioning scheme consists of a root partition and a swap partition. For GPT disks, you must also create a BIOS boot or an EFI partition, depending on your BIOS boot mode, legacy BIOS, or UEFI. If you plan to create a swap partition, allocate the system partition with max size minus swap size. The swap partition should ideally be the same size as your RAM, or double that if you have low RAM. Note, a swap partition is not mandatory. You can set up a swap file later, use swap on ZRAM, or both. Now select the free space and press enter to create the first partition, which will be the EFI system partition, ESP. Set the size to 1 GB, choose the file system as FAT32, and set the mount point to boot. Next select the free space and press enter to create the second partition, which will be the system partition. Set the size to max size, minus swap size if you plan on creating a swap partition. Choose the file system as ext4 or bt or fs, and set the mount point to / or root. Then select the free space and press enter to create the third partition, which will be the swap partition. Set the size to max size, and select the file system as Linux swap. Finally select confirm and exit, and press enter to return to the main menu. In the disk encryption option, you can choose to encrypt the disk if desired. For the swap option, you can enable or disable Swap on ZRAM. Swap on ZRAM is a kernel module that creates a compressed block of RAM for swap, avoiding the use of storage devices entirely. In the bootloader option, select your bootloader. I recommend the Grub bootloader. Next, you can configure the device hostname. Set a password for the root account. Note that leaving the root password blank will disable the root account. Create a user account with a password, and add the user to the sudo group. In the profile option, you can select the system type, most likely desktop. Then choose a desktop environment or window manager. I recommend the GNOME desktop environment. Afterward, select the appropriate graphics driver based on your graphics card, AMD, Intel, or NVIDIA. Lastly, choose the greeter, login manager. You can keep the default options selected. Select the audio server. Pacman is the recommended choice. If needed, You can also select another kernel. In the Network Configuration section, choose your desired configuration. I suggest using Network Manager. Under Additional Packages, you can type the names of packages you want to install, separated by spaces. For example, NeoFetch HTOP Nano. In the Optional Repository section, you can enable multi-lib if you need support for 32-bit applications. Finally, choose your time zone. Then select Install and press Enter. Confirm with Yes to begin the installation process. After the installation completes, you can choose whether or not to enter the root shell for post-installation configurations. When finished, turn off your computer by typing Shutdown Now, remove the USB drive, and power the system back on. And that's it for today. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and don't forget to activate the notification bell so you won't miss out on any new uploads. Thank you for watching. Until next time, see you later.